Om Shruti Smiti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine व्योमवत् व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. We have started studying the verses of Upadesha Saaram, the essence of the Vedic teachings. Now, the very first verse, as you know, establishes the existence of Ishvaraha and says Ishvaraha Asti. And without this Asti iti buddhi, Astikya buddhi, we cannot even do any Shravanam. So, Maharishi says Kartuhu Agneya Prapyate Khanam. That is, the intelligent principle is the Jagatkarta governing the eternal cycles of Srishti, Sthiti and Laya. And it takes into account all the hidden variables and connects the karma to the karma phalam. The hidden variables include my past karma, the shraddha involved, whether it's a punya karma or papa karma, what is the motive. So only a sentient, conscious, intelligent principle can account for all these and determine the outcome. Then Maharishi says, karma kim param? No, karma is jadam. So karma is a finite, and finite limited means can only produce finite limited ends. Yeah. So karma phalam is ashashvatam, anityam. Like this flower also. This flower is limited by desha, kala and vastu. And it is limited in space, time and by being just a flower. Yeah. So it is the anitya karma phalam. Then what should I do to gain the limitless jnana phalam, moksha? Yeah. Do I have to do infinite number of karmas for that? No. Again the Shastra says, na karmana na prajaya dhane na tyage naike amritattvamana shubhu. Not by any amount of karma, not by progeny, not by dhanam is that amritattvam jnana phalam to be gained, but tyagena. And tyagena is to be understood as renunciation, which means jnanena, by knowledge alone. So jnana meva moksha. Even Shankaracharya adds, Kotibihi janmibihi karmana moksha na lapyate. Even in crores of janmas, where we are doing karmas, this moksha is not to be gained. So like we saw the example of the musk deer. The musk deer was very hectic and wandering about in search of the fragrance, but it did not know that the fragrance is in its own body. So like that, only by understanding that my nature must be limitlessness, purnatvam, and whatever I am seeking, really I am seeking that purnatvam alone. The seeker is the sought. So that is the jnana phala. So then we saw, that from this entanglement in the karma net, how can we be released? And the third verse, helps us out by saying, Ishvararpitam karma na ichchaya. So in this vast ecosystem where there is interdependence, we see the whole nature is offering. There is a cosmic yajna going on. So I have to also be a joyous participant in that by doing what is to be done. I am offering all my actions as archana to the Lord and receiving the results with prasada buddhi. And we have seen this in the Gita also several times, and all the chapters starting from 2, 3, 4, and 5. If you revise that, we see it is all about how to gain that skill in action. Yoga kushalam, that kaushalyam, how to get that is all explained by Krishna to Arjuna. That what is to be done by me, I have to do it in this cosmic setup and as my opportunity, because it is a manifestation of Ishvara. And what will that do to me? That will free the mind from the turbulence of raga, dvesha, kama, krodha, expectations and demands, and will make the mind very pure and calm, without resistance. And such a mind will be available for the next stage, that is with the Jnana Yogata for Jnana Yoga. So we see that Karma Yoga already has the cognitive shift of mind, that is the Bhakti Bhavana. Bhakti Bhavana. Then how do I bring more and more Ishvara into my life? How do I cultivate that devotion? So for that, Ramana Maharishi goes to the next verse, which we already covered, 4, 5, and 6, and 7 also. There we saw a series of devotional practices. There it was Kaya Vang Manaha Karyam Uttamam Pujanam Japaha Dhyana Chintanam. How we all start with the Kayika Puja. Kayika Puja is that which is predominantly done by the body. If you do Girivalam, that is definitely, Kayika is involved. Yeah, and Vachika and Manasika also. So, how can I cultivate devotion to Ishvara is initially we all start with Ekarupa Bhakti, devoted to my Devata, my Ishta Devata. And with that mantras, Ashtotaram, Namasmaranam, and Naivedyam pujas, I establish a connection to the Ishvara. But what does Bhagavan say, Ramana? He says that this is only the initial stage. Yeah, initial stage, and Jagata Ishadhi Yukta Sevanam Ashtamurti Brit Deva Pujanam. So really, is my puja going to be confined to that 1 hour Deva Yajna in the morning and in the evening? Or do I want to do it 24/7? So for that, my mind should expand and to include the whole Jagat. And we saw the description of Jagat is eightfold. 5 elements, and then sun and the moon, and then the sentient conscious being. That is us. Wherever there is a subtle body, Bhagavan says, Mame Vamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha. All the sentient beings are really my Amsha. So that Puman, that Jiva is the 8th factor. And the whole Jagat, this kind of Jagat Puja, cosmic Puja, is already very well inbuilt in our culture. We have the Panchabhuta Sthala temples for the 5 elements. Then we worship the sun and the moon during various festivals throughout the year. We worship rivers and mountains and animals, Gomata, and we also provide milk for the snake. So this kind of that Isha Buddhi with respect to the Jagat is already there. And so initially invoking Ishvara through one's Ishta Devata and then expanding it to the Aneka Rupa Vishwa Bhakti is the best puja, Maharishi says here. Then we come to the second kind of devotional practice, that is Vachika Karma. Now, Vachika Karma is done with a subtler Karana, subtler than the physical body, that is Vak Indriyam. So, what do we do that? How do we cultivate devotion? By Namasmarana, Bhajanam, Ashtotaram, Stava. Stava means anything in praise. We have such a huge choice. Lalita Sahasranama, Parayanam, Narayaniyam, Vishnu Sahasranama, and all these stavas, Medha Suktam, Durga Suktam, these are all in praise of, Ishvara. But again here, Maharishi points out a gradation. So when there is loud chanting, then it can be done uchchaihi, the japa of a mantra or chanting, or it can be done softly so that only I can hear. Or it can be done even softly, chittajam japaha, in the mind. And so Maharishi says that there is a gradation, and the chittajam japaha is the subtlemost and most effective. But in order to be able to do that japa, we have to do all the other practices also. Remember, we are going from the outer gross instruments and proceeding inwards to the subtler and subtler. Why? To arrive at the subtlemost Svarupa Shanti. For that, I have to silence or purify and steady the body, steady the Vak Indriyam, purify it, and then the mind, and then arrive at the Svarupa Shanti. Remember, in the tapas shlokas, there were 6 shlokas on the nature of tapas in the Bhagavad Gita, and how the Gita emphasizes Vak tapas, the most. And so that is the Vak Indriya, the Vachika tapas. Now, we know that even when we do japa, the mind being what it is, we can easily get lost in some negativity in the mind, some gossip here and there, or some past memory comes into my mind of recent times or decades ago. And then I get totally enveloped with that memory. Why did that person say this? He should not have said that. And the blaming goes on. Or mechanical thinking. We just drift off mentally from one thing to the other and we lose time. But japa of any mantra puts an end to that. It makes the mind very firm and steady, collects all the rays of the mind like a laser beam. We have so many mantras, and Dakshinamurti we can chant. Om Namo Bhagavate Dakshinamurtaye Mahyam Medham Prajnam Prayacha Swaha. Om Namo Bhagavate Dakshinamurtaye Mahyam Medham Prajnam Prayacha Swaha. Initially we can do loud chanting, then softly, then even softly in the mind. Then what will happen is such a japa will effortlessly merge into meditation. And that is the next practice which Maharishi pointed out in the 7th shloka, that Saguna Dhyanam. Dhyanam is even more superior to japa, and japa is superior to Kaika Puja. In fact, our traditional pujas at home should include all the 3. After we complete a puja, we should ideally do some japam and then sit for quiet meditation and then get up. So now, what is this dhyanam? This dhyanam is what is called upasana or saguna dhyana. Saguna dhyana means I invoke Ishvara on an object that is pleasing. That is pleasing to the mind. And then the mind will flow towards that object like Ajyadhara or Srotas, like the river waters. So we can choose any object, Shiva and Shiva or Sri Rama, something that is pleasing to me, so that the mind will effortlessly flow towards the object or the Vigraha, but internally in the mind. And also there is a respect and a love for that object. That's why Ajyadhara and Srotasa. So this is called Sajatiya Vritti Pravaha. Sajatiya Vritti Pravaha means I will have all the thoughts or the mantras focused only upon that object. Do you remember the first verse of Shiva Manasa Puja by Adi Shankaracharya? रत्नैकल्पितमासनं हिमजले स्नानं च दिव्याम्बरम् नानारत्नविभूषितं मृगमदामोदाङ्कितं चन्दनम् जाति चम्पकबिल्वपत्ररचितं धूपं दिया धूपं पुष्पं तथा दीपं देवदयानिधे पशुपते कृत्कल्पितं गृह्यताम्. So now I invoke the Shiva Tattvam in my heart. And instead of the external puja, Kaika Puja, I do a puja to the Shiva Tattvam in my heart. So my heart becomes a puja room. And so I give snanam with the waters from the Himalayas. I bring exotic flowers and fruits and dhupa, deepa, naivedyam, everything. And the Lord is seated in a, throne with precious stones. All this is a visualization. This is called Saguna Dhyanam or Upasana. And this is what Sajatiya Vritti Pravaha is all about. Only one thought centered on one theme, on one Ishtadevata. And this has the power to purify the mind and steady it. And steady it for what? For contemplation. Yeah, contemplation, which is the next stage. Yeah. So that was, a quick recap of the first 7 shlokas. You see how systematically Ramana Maharishi is progressing from the Kayika, Karma, then Vachika, then Manasika, and the Karma Yoga in the beginning. So this is the route. Now we will go to the 8th shloka. And here it is, now it is going to, Bhagavan Maharishi is going to talk about the non-dualistic worship. So far what have we seen? When there is a devotee, devotee, and there is a object of devotion like Sri Rama Vigraha, or Surya Devata. Then there are Surya mantras, Ashtotaram, or certain vidhi will be there. So there is a devotee, there is devotion, and there is a object of devotion. So this Triputi, this is the content of every dualistic worship. Now, the next shloka, Bhagavan is going to say, instead of meditating with an attitude of duality, the non-dual vision, like Soham, Saha Aham, the essence of Ishvara is my essence. That is superior or it is purifying. Now, whatever we have seen so far was all dualistic, right? Karma Yoga, Kayika, Vachika, Manasika, there is a Deha Abhimana. And definitely it is to be done because it has both Drishtaphalam and Adrishtaphalam. So when I perform these practices, then there will be an internal peace. There will be freedom from turbulence. There will be more trust in the mind. And then there will be punyam also, which will manifest at a later period of time. Yeah. But what is the disadvantage? The limitation in the dualistic worship is pointed out in the Shastras that there will be always a seeking in the sense that I, the devotee, I will consider myself as what? Helpless, alpatnyaha, limited, and the Lord, whoever the Lord is, as my Ishtadevata will be sarvatnyaha, will be limitless and will bless me, no doubt. But the separation will continue. Yeah. But all the acharyas, and including Ramana Maharishi, say that, then how will I experience the fullness, the Purna Swarupa of the Atma? Unless I understand the fullness and the Jiva Ishvara Aikya Jnanam. So for that purpose, the next shloka shows that how by meditating in a non-dualistic way, soham, I can bridge the gap and arrive at the oneness. And Shastra says that is where there is Purnatvam. The example very close to our life is deep sleep. Every day, we are all enjoying that non-dual state of pure consciousness in Sushupti Avastha. Yeah? There are no complaints, no worries, no samsara, and the mind is switched off. And I am just enjoying, or I am the pure consciousness. But I'm enjoying it passively, no doubt. So here, Ramana Maharishi is trying to upgrade the Dhyanam level from a Saguna to the Nirguna Dhyana. Okay? So let us chant this shloka first. Shloka number 8. bhava shunya sat. No, sorry. Bheda bhavana sohamityasau. Bheda bhavana sohamityasau. Bhavana bhida pavani mata. Bhavana bhida pavani mata. Bheda bhavana sohamityasau. Bhavana bhida pavani mata. Bhed bhavanat saha aham iti asau bhavana abhida pavani mata. No, it is not pavani as displayed on your screen, but pavani. Pavani means purifying. So, what does Maharishi say here? Bheda bhavana, than the worship, the bhavana, the bhakti which has bheda. Bheda means the devotee, the devoted, the devotion. There is a separation. Than bheva bhavana, saha ahamiti asau abhida bhavana. Abhida bhavana means non-dualistic. Without bheda, that is the oneness. When I experience the oneness in bhakti, the fusion, how will I experience that? Saha aham iti asau. With the bhavana, with the contemplation that tat jagat karanam brahma aham asmi. Or saha. Saha stands for jagat karanam brahma. And aham is me, the jiva. So this is nothing but the mahavakyam. Tattvamasi mahavakyam is the same as soham. So saha aham iti asau bhavana abhida. Abhida bhavana means with a non-dualistic approach. Approach, that is, I bring Ishvara into my life, yeah, and by discovering God, the fundamental oneness, the Jiva Ishvara Aikya Jnana. Now, the more I give reality to duality, we have seen that when there is Dvaita Buddhi, then there will be always a certain degree of helplessness. There will be a seeking. Taittiriya Upanishad has said this very clearly. Dvaitadhi bhayam bhavati. The slightest notion of limitation will bring in what? Fear. I will stay limited. And that Purna Swarupa, Atma Ramananda will be denied to me. So Ramana Maharishi says that the non-dual dhyanam such as Soham is better than dualistic worship. Dualistic worship. And for assimilating this fact, Saha Aham, yeah, we have seen a number of prakriyas and we will not go into that detail now. Yeah, we have seen Pancha Kosha Viveka Prakriya, Avastatraya Sakshi Prakriya, Drik Drishya Swarupa Prakriya, Atma Anatma Viveka. So all these Upanishads, Tattva Bodha, Bhagavad Gita and the three Shatkams are establishing the fundamental oneness through the Mahavakyam. So when that is done, then one experiences the Purna Atma Swarupa, yeah, the joy of that. Now, this meditation further, Maharishi says is Pavani Mata. Pavani means this kind of bhavana, this kind of non-dualistic approach is Pavani, purifying. And Mata, Mata means considered. Considered by whom? By the Shastras. By the Shastras, by Acharyas who are unfolding the Shastras. This is the most sacred, auspicious and purifying. The Gita also, there was one sentence, Nahi jnanena sadrisham pavitramiha vidyate. There is nothing more purifying than Paravidya. Why? Because, you take any of the previous devotional practices, Kaika Puja. Is it enough if I perform a puja once? Am I cleansed forever? No. I have to do Deva Yajna every day. Japa. Japa purifies my mind, yes, but only for the day. Again, the mind will gather malam. Again, I have to do japa. Dhyanam also same thing. I get some peace and some freedom in the mind, but again it gets clouded again. But here, when there is the understanding of the oneness, the vision of Vedanta, then what? yat gatva na nivartante, that ignorance cannot return once the knowledge is gained. What kind of knowledge? Jiva Ishvara Aikya Jnana. That knowledge is talked about here. And hence it is said Pavani Mata. And it is also Pavani because of the phalam. Karma phalam we have already seen is Ashashvatam. It will give me peace and freedom, some security, some happiness, but finite, temporary. Yeah, it arrives and goes away. I have to earn it again. But here the Shastra says is, as Shankara says, Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham Shivoham. Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham Shivoham. And Mundaka Upanishad has also said, Bhidyate Hridaya Grantihi Chidyante Sarva Samshayaha Shiyante Chasya Karmani Tasmin Drishte Paravare. When this Soham meditation is in place, when I have realized, understood the oneness, Jiva Ishvara Aikya Jnanam, then all the doubts are cut. The knots of the heart, that is avidya kama karma, are also cut, and all the karmas are burnt. Jnanagni datta karmani. When that is seen. Yeah. So, yasmin sthitaha guruna dukkhena api na vichalyate. And Gita also says that such jnanis, they will not be affected even the most heavy tragedies. Yeah? Now, definitely, unfortunate situations will affect everyone. But when we are anchored in this Atma Tattvam, then one will bounce back to the center faster, and be less entangled in the Anatma objects. So this is the essence of this shloka number 8. Now, no doubt, Saguna Dhyanam, that is a dualistic mode of worship. We are doing it every day. It is very important. But Shastra says that it is incomplete if we do not come to the Nirguna Dhyanam. And Nirguna Dhyanam cannot be arrived at without Saguna Pujas. So we have to do all these practices, and then automatically when we gain the maturity, then the Saguna Upasanas or whatever will drop off naturally. And, one will be anchored in that Parama Tattvam. Bhevta bhavanat sohamityasau bhavana pita pavani mata. So the shloka is about invoking the Ishvara internally in the space of one's own heart. Yeah. Now the next shloka, verse number 9, is just an extension of the same idea. And in that shloka, Ramana Maharishi in fact says that this Swaswarupa Anusandhanam, that is exploring and abiding in one's true Atma Swarupa, is the Uttama Bhakti, is the shloka number 9. Let's chant it first. Bhavashunya sad bhavasustitihi bhavana balad bhaktiruttama. Bhavashunya sad bhavasustitihi bhavana balad bhaktiruttama. So what is the highest bhakti? Is the Jnana Bhakti. What does Sri Ramana say here? Bhavashunya Satbhava Sustitihi. Bhavana Bala Bhaktihi Uttama. The last word says Uttama Bhaktihi. The highest Parama Bhaktihi is which Bhakti? Ananya Bhaktihi. Eka Bhaktihi. And what kind of Bhakti is it? It is Sadbhava Sustitihi. When the mind is abiding in that Sadbhava. Sadbhava means in the Atma Swarupa. And then Bhava Shunya. Now Bhava Shunya here, Bhava means what? Bhava means, here it is notions. All the notions that I will have. Notions are my conclusions. I am as good as the body. I'm sad today. I was happy yesterday. I'm short, tall, young, old. Yeah, I'm female. All these limited notions and conclusions about oneself, the sankalpas, the vikalpas, are called bhava. But when there is bhava shunyaha, free from all these anatma identifications and labels, then what? There is satbhava susthiti. There is abidance in the satbhava. Satbhava is satyam, jnanam, anantam, atmasvarupa, brahma. So by viveka, I detach, or I see myself as distinct from my upadhis. That is the meaning of the first word. Bhava shunyaha sadbhava susthitihi. Abiding as the Atma Swarupa, free from all the notions. We have so many notions about ourselves, about the Jagat, about Ishvara also. But here, this is the Atma I, and not the Ahankara I that is identified. Then Bhavana Balat. Balam here means strength. And by that strength of such a contemplation, by such a steady abidance, what? Bhakti Uttama. That is the highest Bhakti. That is the highest Bhakti, which is abiding in the Atma Swarupa. And we know that Atma Swarupa is of the nature of fullness. Now, that is Purnananda Atma, and any other experiential Atma is but a lesha of this Ananda in any loka, in any period of time. The experiential Ananda is no match for this Purnananda. Now, this Uttama Bhakti, Krishna has also talked about it in the Gita. Now, remember the 4 classes of devotees. Chaturvidha bhajanti mam jana sukriti nurjuna arto jignasuratharthi jnani cha bharatarshabha tesham jnani nityayuktaha eka bhaktihi vishishyate. Krishna says jnani is vishishyate, excels. Why? Because he has eka bhaktihi. He is nityayuktaha. And then sarve udaraha evaite jnani tu atmaiva me matam. But Krishna says that all the devotees, whether they're distressed or they have commercial bhakti, they want this and that, or they're curious about me, all of them are dear to me. Why? Ye gatha mam prapadyante tans tataiva bhajamyaham. Whatever they seek, at least they're approaching me. So I will help them in whatever way I can as per the law of karma. But Jnani tu atmaiva me matam. Jnani is verily myself. He has discovered me in his or her own heart. He is no more different. He does not want this or that. But he wanted me, and he has discovered me in his own heart. So that in the Gita was described as Ananya Bhakti or Eka Bhakti. And the same thing Maharishi calls it Uttama Bhakti here. So abiding as the Atma Swarupaha, free from all these notions. This really means a surrender of the Ahankara I. I am so and so. Where am I placing the I? Am I placing it in Anatma bodies, or through the meditation I have discovered the higher I? No, Ramana Maharishi calls it the I. Yeah, the double I or the capital I. So that is the Parama Bhakti. So we see that again, all these practices, there is a certain route, there's a certain, progress. Always Sakama will come first, and then one upgrades to Nishkama Bhakti. And so Saguna devotional practices, which are dualistic, will be there. And then they will pave the way to the Nirguna contemplation. Yeah. So that is the route given here. Now let's see the 10th shloka also. 10th one, shows the goal. This is the goal. This Parama Bhakti or Uttama Bhakti is the goal. Goal of what? Goal of all the yogas. How many yogas are there? generally the Shastras will talk about four yoga paths, right? Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Raja Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. So yoga means to be aligned. So aligned with, this kind of practice. So that we're going to see that how this is the culmination of all the yogas. Number 10. Hridstale manaha swasthata kriya. Hridstale manaha swasthata kriya. Bhakti yoga bodhascha nishchitam. Bhakti yoga bodhascha nishchitam. Hridstale manaha swasthata kriya. Bhakti yoga bodhascha nishchitam. Hridstale manaha swasthata kriya bhakti yoga bodhaha cha nishchitam. So here see the mention of the last word. There is all these yogas mentioned. Bhakti means bhakti yoga, the yoga of attitude, the inner orientation. Then the word yoga after bhakti refers to Raja Yoga, Ashtanga Patanjali Yoga, which is considered the royal yoga of discipline, concentration, and focus, and attaining the Nirvikalpaka Samadhi. Then Bodha, the last word Bodha refers to Jnana Marga, our path, knowledge, yeah, and Nishchitam, definite, yeah, and Kriya, the word Kriya means karma, and karma is really to be understood as Karma Yoga. So we have covered so far. Karma Yoga topic is over, Bhakti Yoga topic is over. Now Yoga is going to come next. How pranayama helps the mind, and how the pratyahara, withdrawal and concentration. And then finally, 13 shloka onwards is purely Bodha or Jnana Yoga. But here Maharishi says, Manaha swasthata. Manaha swasthata means when the mind is abiding. Yeah, the mind is centered where? Hridstale. Hrid means heart. Now, which heart do we mean here? Now, the biological heart is on the left. I think we all agree on that. Left side, yeah. Now, the biological heart is supposed to be the central organ of the whole body, yeah. But where is the spiritual heart? Spiritual heart means the buddhi guha. Yeah, that is the manas. Yeah, the manas, and that has its seat, the physical heart. Don't I say I? That I notion, ahankara, I point to my heart only, and that is called hridstale. So when, of course, consciousness is all pervading, yeah, but it has its seat in the heart. That's why Kaivalya Upanishad we saw Hrid Pundarikam, the heart is imagined to be a lotus, yeah, in which there is that I notion, where it's the Buddhi Guha, where Chaitanyam Sakshi is reflected. That is meant here. Hridstale manaha swasthata. So in the seat of the mind, that is in the heart, when the mind abides in its source, that is the source, pure consciousness, Chaitanyam. And Gita says, Atma samstam manaha kritva nakinchidapi chintage. When the mind has discovered its parent, its source, as that Hridsthalam, yeah, then what? Then all this Kriya, Bhakti, Yoga, Bodhascha, Nishchitam. This is the aim and the goal and the culmination of all these yogas. Today we have so many more yogas. Siddha Yoga, Power Yoga, Tree Yoga, this yoga. We are not talking about all those yogas, But these are the main yogas. Karma Yoga, Bhakti, and Raja Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. All the other yoga, modern yogas are all distortions. So this shloka is talking about the moksha phalam. Yeah, moksha phalam or Jivan Mukti. When this vision is very clear, what is the vision? That I, the Atma, am distinct from the body. Sthula, Sukshma, Karana, Sharira, Gyatirikta. Yeah? That is the goal of this fourfold yogas. Yeah? And so, so really there is only one way for moksha, that is jnanameva moksha. Then why do we have so many yogas? A question is asked. So the example is often given, for Tirumala Darshanam, we have so many paths. Now we have the direct path, steps, the roadway, or a winch, or a cable car. Then once you're in Tirumala, then you have to go through the one door for Ishvara Darshanam. Yeah, Bhagavad Darshanam, there's only one door. So Shankaracharya always will say, Jnana Dvarena, only, Eva is Paramatma Darshanam possible. And that Paramatma Darshanam is Ishvara Darshanam. Ishvara Darshanam is Atma Darshanam. Like in Atma Bodha, we saw that second shloka in Atma Bodha, where Adi Shankaracharya says that what is the main cause for cooking? It is fire, Agni. Although we need all the other accessories, we need the pots, we need oil, spices, vegetables, water, everything to make a dish. But the principal cause is fire. And so, jnanameva moksha. But all these practices, karma yoga, bhakti, ashtanga yoga, and japa, all these help, progress the mind, steady and make the mind steady and contemplative, preparing the mind for this ultimate coming to the jnana dwara and jnana yogyata, and then there is atma darshana. Yeah? So this is how it goes, and now the next two shlokas will be on the Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga Yoga, is the 8 rungs it has. No, it has the foundation of dharma, yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. So we have seen a little bit of this in the Gita also, chapter 6, and how it purifies the karanas and raises the shakti and up to that point of focus and awareness. But there is a difference in that in Vedanta we always talk about the yoga. Patanjali yogis will talk about a thoughtless state of the mind. Yeah, but in Vedanta, Shankaracharya will say with thoughts or without thoughts. Yeah, one has this clear vision. I am the Atma Sarupa. Thoughts come and go. Yeah, because the mind is a thought-producing machine. Yeah, so the vrittis can all come and go, or they can be switched off as in deep sleep, or be back in the dream world or waking world. But I am the sakshi of all the vrittis, the thoughts in the mind, and the sakshi of the activities of the body and the sense organs, and that is the vision of Veda. But definitely, the Ashtanga Yoga is very helpful because again, for studying the body and the mind. It's very useful for that concentration. And that shloka number 11 and 12 we will see in the next session. So now let us chant these 3 shlokas of today again and then conclude. Heta bhavanat sohamityasau भावनाभिदा पावनीमता भावशून्य सद्भावसुस्थितिः भावनाबलाद् भक्तिरुत्तमा हृत्स्थले मनः स्वस्थता क्रिया भक्तियोगबोधाश्च निश्चितम्. As Arjuna asked, if you remember in chapter 12 of the Bhagavad Gita, where Arjuna says, Evam satata yuktanam bhaktastam tvam paryupasate ye chapyaksharam avyaktam tesham ke yoga vittamaha. So Arjuna asks Krishna, you are praising Sankhya, Jnanam, and at the same time, you are asking me to perform this karma, yeah? But which of the two are better? Those who are saguna devotees or those who are nirguna devotees? who are just thinking on the Avyaktam, Aksharam, Param Brahma, then Krishna's answer is very, very clear. He says, both are dear to me, but the Saguna Upasaka's, is better because meditating on the highest Paramatattvam, Avyaktam, Aksharam, how are you going to do that? Klesham Adhikaraha Tesham. There will be a lot of difficulties. No? So, this means we should not ignore our Panchamahayajnas, our japa and Kaika puja, very important. Continue doing them until they drop off by themselves. But at the same time, balance the priorities, so that we have time for Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasnam also. Because we've just seen Manaha, Swasthita, that is the goal of all the yogas. So we'll conclude now. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.